Hello everyone and welcome for another video of Love and Wargames. In this video we are going to make a 2 versus 2 games. It doesn't appear so because our fourth player will be a little bit late, so I left quite some forces in reserve for him when he arrives for turn 2. It's going to be a fight between the Commonwealth and a coalition of the French and the Imperium. For today's battle I am accompanied by Stylus and
Vengeresse.
And they will play the Alliance and the Imperium. Before we start to have a look at the list presentations, let's first have a look at the context of the battle and why did do the Imperium and the Alliance, which are supposed to be sworn enemies since the attack of the Imperium on the Alliance, fighting together. Well, they have bigger fishes to fry. Let's have a look at this right now.
Following the successful uprising of the White Flotilla against the Commonwealth, Admiral Stoliarenkova finally acquired her independence, supported by the Task Force Mordred, as well as the Sultanate expedition. In order to solidify her power base, she decided to move her headquarters from the White Citadel all the way to her newly secured city of New St. Petersburg, which is currently the largest colony in the entire Archipelago Alpha. The Imperium forces that were still locked in a land war with the White Flotilla here did manage to acquire the itinerary and the timetable on which Admiral Stoliarenkova herself would move to New St. Petersburg, and it would be aboard an Akula-class Grand submarine. Knowing that this convoy was bound to be heavily escorted, they asked for the French of the Flotte Vengeresse for support, and they started to organize an ambush. A large fleet composed entirely of submarines should have been extremely hard to detect, and thus this fleet would be quite confident that they would not be intercepted. And so, with a combined Prussian and French armada twice the size of the ambushed convoy, the ambushers' admirals were quite confident in their victory. However, they should rather be careful that the hunter does not become the prey. Okay, now that the board is set, let's have a look at the presentation of the list for the 4 players. 1 Imperium player, 1 French player, 1 for the Commonwealth convoy, and 1 for the Commonwealth reinforcements.
Okay, so I have 2 battle fleets. One which is a carrier support battle fleet with the Tempelhof, with SRS tokens. I didn't take Blitzers because he has a lot of submerged units. I took 1 attached Conrad with SRSO as well. And then I took a unit of 4 Toten. This battle fleet gives me 1 Blitzen bomber in lightning raid in turn 1. And I have a second battle fleet which is composed of an Elector with a shroud generator, which I find very superior to the shield generator as for now. He comes with a Volsung attached and 2 Blutchers, nothing special, just regular unit, and 1 unit of Herminius. The plan is to kill the submerged with the SRS and use my Elector with extreme range to bombard the Mass 3 submerged.
Bonjour tout le monde, alors du coup aujourd'hui on va faire du barbecue avec une flotte entière Alliance, donc composée de un Magenta avec Full Hit Lance, un Furieux Attach avec ses drop pods de légionnaires et 3 petits gun batteries, plus son petit lance-missile qui va bien. Donc accompagné d'une petite unité de chasseurs avec Full Hit Lance. Donc quand on dit qu'on va faire cramer des trucs. Et avec le petit Marseille qui va forcément, avec son générateur Francisco, lancer des doubles, des sustains sur toutes les Hitlands.
Le petit Marseillais.
Et ouais. Et du coup, un petit peu de surface avec une escouade de chevaliers en Hitlands et 2 Shroud. Et pour finir, avec une petite division aérienne, on est sur un pack de 2 volières, équipé classiquement avec des guns batteries. Donc du coup, pour un total de 8 SRS tokens. Et voilà.
Now, for the Commonwealth, As you've seen, there is a flotilla of submarines being ambushed as the enemy tries to assassinate the Commonwealth Admiral. They don't know on which of the 5 Akulas is the Admiral. We will talk a bit more of the scenario later, but first these guys are going to be on the table turn 1. So what do we have here? We have 2 Akulas, all of them with an attached unit of Piranhas, and we have 4 units of Resides, 3 units of 3 ships, and a single one here. The Resides, I left them with their rocket batteries, and all the Akulas that you will see have their seismic mortars. Otherwise, they don't have much choice in equipment. This is what is there on turn 1, and then the reinforcements coming on turn 2. There is going to be 1 Deathbringer and 2 more Akulas, all of them with Piranhas. The Akulas are in unexpected arrival, and the Deathbringer is in the Commonwealth battle fleet for strategic reserves, so it's not in unexpected arrival. And what he brings with him in strategic reserves, these surface units, 1 unit of 2 Kostromas and 1 Marina, and those will be controlled by Zongo, except the Deathbringer that I will control myself because I absolutely want to use this drill. But he has a lot of robots for the ramming. And this is the Commonwealth fleet for today, all the submarines.
Okay, as for deployment, so we have 2 Bloodsher on the sides. The goal is to take the opposing submerge. Some mass 1 here, the Toten and Arminius in the middle. We have, very important, the Elector, which is going to draw a line straight forward and trying to get whatever is in front, Evolzoom with him. In the center, the Magenta and everything with hit lens or hit lancet in the middle. We have a Tempelhof here. The goal was to distract him and to lure him into deploying a little further because of SR's token threat. So he's attached Conrad next to it, and de Marseille, and 2 mass 2 ships in order to flank the opposing forces. And then we have here in the back 2 support carriers, just in case.
As for the Commonwealth deployment, we can see that it is quite defensive. However, it is a little bit less defensive than I thought for this first turn because all of them are submerged. So I could actually see all of their deployments before deploying myself. So I could really calculate all my activations. So I would especially stay out of range of the Elector out there and the SRS tokens of the Tempelhof and the Conrads, especially because these are the main threats to my submarines. So what happened? Let's remember that I need to keep my Akulas alive. We'll just tell a little bit more about the rules of the scenario in a moment. So I have 1 Akula on the left, really on the left. He will activate first because I successfully seized initiative. Yay! So he will activate first and go after the Marseille out there. A lot of torpedoes. Support here of 3 Resides. They will trigger each other's Slava Ukraine. So that's going to be useful. Another Akula here, more in reserve. I don't think he will attack on turn 1, but I want him quite safe, and he has also 3 Resides in support. And finally, on the rightmost flank, 1 pack of 3 Resides, and this single one here, 1 Reside alone. They have a direct line of fire on the Arminius. It's going to be tough, but it's fine. Or especially the 2 Bloodsher's. So as we can see, there was a big threat in the middle, especially of the Elector and these 3 hit lances ships. I really wanted to not expose my forces on turn 1 and even on turn 2 maybe. So as you can see, there is a big hole in my deployment here, but that is a gambit I am taking. We will see how it happens. Again, really happy about the submerged units. It's so comfortable to be able to see your entire opponent's deployment before you start to drop your ships. Really good. Let's have a look for the scenario. Now, how is the scenario actually going to be played? As we can see, as is lore appropriate, the coalition of the Alliance and the Imperium are extremely offensive. We can see that the terrain is a little bit weird in a way. That is because we started to play with some homebrew rules where each side has the same number of terrain, and they can put their terrains in their half of the table as they see fit. So I made it more defensively, and they made a line here to cover their charge. It's really nice way to set up the table, and we recommend it. Maybe we'll put it on text soon so you can try it at home. One thing about this scenario is that, as we said, the Admiral Stoliarenkova is in one of the Akula. They don't know which one. There is a little sign to show which one it is that we know with Zongo. What happened is at the start of each round, they will throw a dice equal to the number of the round. So, for example, round 2, they will roll 2 dices. And if they roll at least 1 explosive, they will know exactly which Akula contains Admiral Stoliarenkova, and so they can focus fire on this. We'll still play with cards to see if there is a military victory and who gains territory or not, but their main objective is to sink the Akula with the Admiral, because this would have a huge repercussion on the narrative campaign. Because as we know, the Commonwealth and the White Flotilla have seceded from the Commonwealth itself, and without their Admiral, they would really start to lose ground. That's it for the scenario. I will try to survive as long as possible until the reinforcements of Zongo arrive. And for now, let's go for the first activation of the Commonwealth. And one thing that we forgot to put, but it's actually after the surface deployment now, so it doesn't matter as much for their deployment. We forgot to make the mines, so here they are. I have 5 Akulas that have mine layer, so that it's going to be 5 mines. And I really blockaded this path. I went just far enough so they cannot use their 20 inches of SRS mine clearance to put them here. And on turn 1, that might slow them down, or at least make them think a little bit about where they want to go. And on turn 2, I pack them together so they can clear them easily all together. But still, I'm quite happy of this little minefield that will protect my right flank. Now, again, for the activation of the Akula. First activations. Indeed, we play 2 versus 2, so we still have 2 activations per side for each round, each turn of team. Since Zongo is not here yet, I will play both these unit of 3 Rizaks that will send their torpedoes, heavy torpedo salvos on the blotchers there. And this Akula is going to throw everything with its Piranha escorts on the Marseille all the way there, because the Marseille is very important to the Alliance. That is going to be 27 dices, should be, +1 to the lead value with Slava Ukraini, so 28 dices, no rerolls of any kind. That is going to be 6 explosives. That is 31 hits of the torpedoes. Now let's see the defense of the SDV of the French. 31 minus 2 is going to be 29. I think it is a catastrophic explosions and a lot of damage. It's a total of 6 hull points lost between the 4 points of damage and the catastrophic explosion. It goes straight to the yellow level of disorder, and there is red. Catastrophic. It's okay. Okay, my bad. It goes straight to the red with catastrophic explosion. My bad. And he has 1 hull point left. Depending on what I roll here, he might die outright. No, it does not. He goes to the black, and he has -2 to Citadel and -2 to his speed, but it does not make another point of damage. And little correction, catastrophic explosion is just 1 level of disorder, so it is indeed yellow at the beginning, and the reactor leak brings him to the red, but anyway, he's gonna die the next attack pointed at him. Now, the Rizaks are going to throw all their heavy torpedo salvo, as we said, on the Blotcher, the one that is most on the left from here. Their rocket batteries are, of course, out of range for now, but it's okay. That's gonna be 23 dices, +1 from the Slava Ukraini. Good. Okay, that was actually a really good roll. I made 8 explosives with 24 dices. That is very good, and the rest is quite good as well. So I'm re-rolling 8 dices. That is gonna be 2 more explosives. And okay, let's stop here. Let's not make it too much. Let's see the defense roll of the Blotcher. -3, good for him. That was 30 hits. It's going to be 5 hull points of damage, 2 from the catastrophic explosion. He has 1 hull point left, and it might kill him outright depending on what I roll. And also reactor leak. Okay, at least they have a little bit of luck on this. But yeah, both of these ships are really not in a great state. Activation on the other side, the Marseille went here to try to hide. There is no line of sight here yet. And the Blotchers here activated. Together they sent everything, all the torpedoes and all the heavy gun batteries on this little Rizak. And they managed to do in total 3 points of damage. And this little one is crippled now. We're going back to the Commonwealth. Commonwealth activation, quite chill. This pack of 3 Rizaks, beautiful Rizaks, I just love them all. Just look at them. Sorry. These Rizaks stayed here healthy and good, more than 40 inches from the enemy carriers. We're really trying to deny their SRS capacity on turn 1. I say we because now Zongo has arrived. Hi Zongo! And on this side, something interesting, the last Rizak advanced a little bit. His rockets went on this Bloodshot doing nothing, and his torpedoes did 1 point of damage, but that's what was needed to finish this Bloodshot first kill of the game. Last activation of turn 1 for the Commonwealth. We decided to pack everything here to try to attack. The idea is that no matter what we do, if the Elector tries to charge us, he will be in range and he will be able to use his Gustav Heavy Bombard anyway, but we want to stay out of range of the SRS tokens of the enemy. We packed everyone here. We have 3 Totens in range. The Rizaks are going to send everything on the first one to really try to obliterate, and then we're going to split the attacks on the other 2 Totens in the back here. Let's have a look at the rolls. So all the Rizaks, 24 dices. Defense roll, please. Yeah, no, he's dead. Yeah, putain, pas mal. Now the first attack, 1 heavy torpedo and torpedo salvo on the Toten. Okay, not great. And another explosive. Ça va. Defenses, he needs at least 3 because we have 14 hits here. He needs 3 to survive. 1, 2, 3. Eh ben voilà. He stays alive. Yeah, 2 hull points, probably. Yeah. Oh no, we split it, so we're not sure to finish them off, either of them. Interesting. And now the second attack, 15 dices this time.
Whoa.
Ooh. Absolutely nothing. We were a little bit greedy. We didn't manage to kill any other Toten, only 1 hull point left on one of them, and the second one did nothing. A bit sad. And activation of all the aircraft carriers with combat air patrol. They sent everything on this Aquila, hoping probably to sink it on this with the activation of the Elector, which is possible. Meh. Now the Tempelhof and the Conrads are sending all their torpedoes together because they are an attached unit. They send everything on this Aquila, trying to sink it. 15 dices of torpedoes. 2 explosives. Another explosive. Okay, very good, very good. That is 13 hits. I need to remove at least 3 if I want to prevent the critical damage. And I remove 4. Sorry, 4 of those. So it's going to be 1 point of damage, but no critical. Next attack. These 2 Chevaliers are going to shoot their sustained hit lances on this Aquila. That's going to be 8 dices, and then the torpedoes. First, let's have a look at the hit lance. Oh, yeah, sustained. Sustain, rerolling the 3 single counters. Oh, yeah. So he uses this reroll card, and he will reroll everything because it was a very bad roll, and he is fishing for the explosive, which count as 3s. So let's have a look for this new roll. Better. That is going to be 3, 6, 8, 9. So that is 14 hits on the Akula, a card well spent. That is going to be 2 hull points of damage and 1 critical roll. And it's a Sturginium Flare? No, because it means that he will... no, they're submerged. So as submerged units, they cannot collide each other, but it's still going to be a 3rd point of damage. And now this poor Akula, which is already in the red, is going to suffer a salvo of torpedoes from the Chevalier. Oh, mon Dieu. 3 explosives. And that is a lot.
Nice, huh?
I need an insanely good roll for this. It's 19 hits with the torpedoes. And it is a good roll. 3 and 5, so it goes to 14. So I save another point of damage. That is only going to be 2 points of damage and 1 critical damage. Maybe it can be crippled right away. Nope, he just suffers a generator offline. Now, this Elector is going to shoot a lot at this Akula. That is going to be first the Gustav Bombards, which is devastating. Rerolling blanks because of Spotter. 1 blank, but... Bah, oh putain! So that was 2 hull points of damage and 1 critical, and the critical is magazine explosion. Everybody is going to take 1 point of damage, and he's going to be 2 hull points from being crippled, this poor Akula. Ouch. So everybody has 2 hull points left here, like literally everybody. Now we're going to see the torpedoes going on the Akula. Sorry, heavy spear Schlauer. And there is a fine... Yeah, rerolling blanks because of Spotter. Okay, and there is 3... Ah yeah, Inductorium, 1 more dice, absolutely. 3 explosives. Alright. And shredded defense now for the Akula is crippled and very weak now. And now this is the end of the first turn. The SRS attack on this Akula is gonna hurt. He has shredded defenses, so of course they are shooting with torpedoes, so it is not ignored anymore. Rolling blanks. And another explosive. The Akula was finished off because actually the torpedoes are also piercing, and he made a Sturginium Flare, destroying his last hull point, and thus these little guys could scramble on this Rizak. And with a very good roll of this air attack, this Rizak has been destroyed by the torpedoes, unfortunately, straight up. Beginning of turn 2. They discovered at the end of turn 1 that even if they sunk an Akula, the Russian Admiral was not aboard the convoy, that they did ambush. And the Imperium-Alliance forces have now detected on their sonars a lot of Russian reinforcements coming in. So they understand that they are the ones that have been ambushed. And the Russian Admiral is among one of these reinforcements, probably. First activation of the Commonwealth. We activated both this pack of Rizak that will focus everything on this Conrad, trying to cripple it. This Akula cannot link because he is in chaos and disarray. So the heavy torpedo salvo is going to go on the Marseille that has armor 5, should be enough to sink it. Then the 2 torpedo salvos of the Akula that cannot link will go on the Conrad, and the 2 Piranhas will link their normal torpedo salvos on the Conrad as well. There's going to be a lot of torpedoes. We will come back to you at the end of all this shooting. All these torpedoes attacks did manage to cripple the Conrad. There was at some point 1 shredded defenses, so they had to use one of their cards to not sink, because even with this, he has only 2 hull points left before sinking, definitely. Of course, they activate the Conrad and the Tempelhof, and at the same time they're activating this pack of the Magenta and the Furieux. The aircrafts all went on this Rizak, and there is going to be a lot of firepower headed straight for the Akula. And now we'll start with the heavy firepower of all the hit lances of the magenta on the Aquila. I say heavy firepower because he did use a card for this heavy firepower. And something we forgot the first time is that the Aquila actually has ablative armor. So it reduces the firepower a little bit of these heat lances. Let's see how it rolls because it is devastating. Yeah, it's crippled by far, but it does not roll the explosive. And something about the Temple of before he starts shooting is that he put 4 SRS tokens to try to clear this minefield. We will roll them one by one because as soon as he manages to clean this token, he can go on the other ones. So 4 tokens, first one. Nope. Encore. Nope. Third. Voilà.
And
last one, you try which one?
this one.
Okay. Trying to clean the last. I know. But one mine was cleared.
Y en a un qui a trouvé.
The Temple of and the Conrads are splitting their attacks, sending torpedoes here. First torpedo salvo. Wait. The Temple of actually has a Freya array, so he can reroll blanks and he gets 2 explosives. And the Temple of sent all its autocannons on the Aquila. This is a very good weapon. And he sank the Aquila easily. Now the turn of the Commonwealth. On the right, the Rizaks are going to send all their torpedoes on this blucher all the way there. And here the Rizaks are just charging because they will be at closing range soon. So they might as well optimize their firepower and they're going to send everything on the Conrad to sink it. First, we will see the attack on the blucher. The critical was a shredded defenses, and now we will see the rockets of the Rizaks. Merveilleux. Okay. So now what's gonna happen? I have to declare my Rizaks here, and I'm gonna make a little change. This guy unfortunately was not in the right line of sight, but this guy does see the blucher in its frontal arc. So this guy will declare heavy torpedo on the blucher, this guy heavy torpedo on the Conrad, and all the rockets also on the Conrad. Let's start with the heavy torpedo salvo on the blucher all the way there. 2 explosive. Nope. Now the heavy torpedo salvo on the Conrad. Okay, 1 explosive. And now the rocket batteries on the Conrad. 3 explosives. That's it. The defense roll now. -2. That is 1 point of damage on the Conrad. And he's still alive somehow. The 2 aircraft carriers, the Voliere, are sending all their SRS token on this. They had no choice, they had to target this Rizak specifically. And the Blucher did a little bit of maneuvering. He's gonna shoot his gun batteries here, on this guy, already crippled, and the torpedoes on the Mass 1 Piranha here. We will see the roll now. Okay. Okay, 8 hits. He needs at least 1 to survive. Okay, he survives. Yeah, 1 hull point of damage. He has 1 hull point left. And now we will see the heavy gun batteries going on the already crippled Rizak. That is fair enough. Wait. 10 hits exactly, but not critical, so he's destroyed. Boop. The Piranha here will try to do 1 hull point on the crippled Conrad. First of all, for shame, and second of all, because I would like to sink it. Oh, bah oui! Attends, special. And 2 explosive, and another 2 explosive. And the brave Piranha is not done yet. Okay. Ça fait beaucoup. Yeah. Ah la la. And it's dead, and maybe there is gonna be an explosion. I call on the gods of the dice for an explosion. Et voilà, and I have been answered. Magazine explosion. Another torpedo attack. This lonely Rizak did 23 hits in total. That is 3 hull points of damage, 1 critical, which was an explosion. He is 1 hull point away, this Blotcher, from being destroyed. The Chevalier did all their attacks. They almost one-shotted this Rizac and they killed 1 Piranha with their rolling broadside. The Arminius went here, they killed the last Piranha here and heavily damaged this Rizac there. Now the ambush of the Commonwealth is closing on the Alliance and the Imperium. The Marina appeared and charged on the Chevalier, doing 28 hits with piercing. So that means that already 6 hull points are gone, and he has 2 critical rolls. He might finish him outright, and no, he does not, but he goes 1 further down, 2 points further down the disorders. Yeah, goes to the red. So the Marina tried to do his Davka. We spent 1 card to try to do this. It means that it grabs another ship within 3 inches with his hand and makes a drilling attack. So that is, of course, very powerful. They spent 2 cards, because they had no choice, to counter it. The gun batteries did 1 point of damage, that was fine, on the Chevalier. And now he will try to board, because we're trying to finish this Chevalier. We only need 1 point of damage. Oh, that's pas beau.
Reroll of the blanks.
Ah oui, aggressive crew. And an explosive. The boarding ends with a draw, so disorder on both sides. The Chevalier went to black, the Marina goes to yellow, but he immediately repaired and he removed his disorder. Now, the Akulas and Piranhas deployed here. The Seismic Mortar shot here, but they were crippled, they did nothing. Still crippled are going to be all the torpedoes. I'm leading with the Piranhas. This way, even if I lose some dices, I gain Giant Slayer on everything. So I'm targeting the Tempelhof, so I will reroll blanks. 1 blank. Not great. And so this is 1 hull point down on the Tempelhof. These 2 chasseurs are going to hunt this Akula. They put all their hit lancets and hit lances. Luckily I have ablative armor, but still there's going to be a lot of firepower at point blank with devastating but not exploding dices. Vas-y. Oh, that putain. Luckily, he doesn't roll additional dices, but he might not need it at all. Okay, so the Chasseur did a total of 43 hits on the Akula despite everything, and of course it one-shotted easily the ship. That is 200 and something of points going down the drain instantly. Ouch. The Chasseur did a rolling broadside on this Marina, doing 1 point of damage, and the heavy gun battery of the Blotcher did 1 point of damage on this Piranha. Okay, now it starts to really be painful for the Imperium-Alliance. These 2 guys further dropped here. They put 2 disorder with their magnetic generator on the Magenta. Then they ramming this Elector, that's gonna hurt, and at the same time these Akula with 2 Piranhas appeared here a little bit further away. I learned my lesson from this poor guy that was 1 shot, so they're staying a little bit further back, and they're going to not focus the Elector. I'm leaving this to the robots. They are going to try to clean the Blotcher and some of these Totens. The first ramming attack on the Elector did 3 points of damage and a critical, which was shredded defenses. And now, just to show, we'll show the second ramming attack on the Elector.
So
He has rerolling blanks and sustained.
Sustained for double.
Merveilleux.
So cool, but
6 explosive hits. After all the damages on the Elector, the railguns on their shoulders shot backward, and the lucky roll made them have not only a point of damage on the Chasseur, but also a critical just on the nose, which was reactor leak. The Kostromas did a boarding action, doing a fairly good roll, and the Elector's defense was bad, so he burned a card to reroll everything else, and in the end he only suffers 1 point of damage and 1 disorder. We are now going to the torpedo attacks of the Akula and the Piranhas. The Elector is activating, and he shot everything like torpedoes, Gustav, heavy bombard, everything on this already damaged Trisac. Obviously, it's dead. And now the Deathbringer emerges. He, of course, wants to do a ramming action like this. He has a very good fray, so he will probably do this right after. And then he will pivot to start to shoot both in the front and in the rear of both sides. With it, torpedoes. Let's first start with the ramming. So, the ramming action is going to be 24 dices, devastating and piercing. 5 explosive hits, doing another explosive. 32 hits, that is 4 points of damage and 2 critical rolls. Yeah, it takes 2 more points of damage. It's already destroyed. I will board something else. So, the Deathbringer finished off the Elector, did 2 points of damage and a critical navigation lock on the Magenta, and did critical damage through boarding on the Toten, doing 1 point of damage and putting him directly to the black. The Trisac was destroyed by the Imperium planes, and now the Malinois will probably move away to there. The air attack finished off 2 more Trisacs here, and yeah, unfortunately it starts to be a little bit difficult here, so I think it's going to be time to go into retreat. That's the end of the second turn for us. The Marina is ramming as a first activation this Chevalier with its giant drill. 26 hits. That is already a catastrophic explosion. That is good. And actually, the 2 criticals were a magazine explosion killing this Chevalier and a Sturginium flare pushing it forward further on the island. But anyway, it was an extra 2 points of damage. So this Marina just killed both Chevalier with a single ramming action. Well done. So now the Marina is using its cryogenerator on this pack here. He targets this Arminius in the center to avoid the shroud of the Magenta. 8 dices, devastating. Devastating. 1 explosive already. The Admiral is defiant until the end. She's going to be charging here on the Blotcher. Actually, the Piranhas are going to make a little different move to be on the left, because she's gonna attack the Blotcher like this, send torpedoes on the Tempelhof, and probably board either the Blotcher, either the Magenta. Let's roll. 24 dices, piercing, devastating on the Blotcher from the drill. Ooh. 7 exploding hits, making 3 more explosives. Yeah. That was a very good roll. That is 41 hits, 2 criticals, which give him another 2 points of damage. We're not even counting here. It's dead. It's really dead. Now the torpedoes of the Deathbringer and all the Piranhas going on the Tempelhof. That is 20, like almost 30 dices. Fair. 4 exploding hits, making 3 more explodings. 3 more explosives. Very well. On the Tempelhof, this made 5 points of damage, a Sturginium flare. That was a very good roll. And thank you, little Deathbringer. Now to see if we can board the Magenta. The Deathbringer, since we made a little mistake, they allowed it to make a boarding like this. However, they had a losing defensive roll, but they used the card to count their 5 explosives as heavy counters. So this made a counter boarding on the Deathbringer, who suffered a point of damage and a disorder. the intense firepower of the two chasseurs and the boarding of the Arminius, destroying the Kostroma in the boarding, causing a magazine explosion, left the Deathbringer at only one hull point from being crippled. No! But the Trisacs are doing a torpedo salvo on the Magenta, trying to cripple it. We will see the defense roll now. Yeah, -6, but it's still going to be a lot. That is a lot of damage on the Magenta. He suffered a Sturginium flare, and we had a question: can the French player use this card straight away to prevent the critical damage before suffering the effect? Yes, no. For now, we think no. That's how we played it. But that is a question we have. The Magenta suffered really a lot of damage. The first Trisacs squadron did not finish the Magenta, but this Aquila comes to the rescue, and he does sink the Magenta with a big torpedo salvo. So we did the last activations fast for this third turn. It was very difficult, and it was up to the very last moment. We finished with the little Aquila having one hull point left. Basically, we did everything to try to save it. We could have tried to win through the victory points, because here we finish with 7 victory points for the Commonwealth and 8 for the Imperium-Alliance. So they win the military battle, so they will take some territory. However, the Admiral survives to the last card, because we really needed to cancel the last critical damage, otherwise it would sink easily. And that is, in the end, kind of like moral victory for the Commonwealth, because the Admiral survived. It is something. They didn't win the battle, but they survived to fight another day. That's it for this battle, victory of the Imperium and the Alliance. Let's go first to have a look at the outcome of this battle, and then we'll go for the debriefing.
Ooh, this was a close one. The Commonwealth clever ploy failed, where it was to make a trap in order to cripple the Imperium and the Alliance in the archipelago, and unfortunately it did not go their way. They even went close to losing the Admiral herself, which would have been catastrophic for the White Flotilla. The Commonwealth survivors of this battlefield went to New St. Petersburg in order to regroup and prepare for the next battle. Following this victory, the Imperium pushed further inland, since they have acquired temporary naval superiority in this region around Kaiser's Pride. And their ground forces just pushed here, as we can see, the Commonwealth's ground forces back, and they gained significant ground, pushing back the front lines dozens of kilometers further. The Alliance also enjoyed this victory, and they brought, thanks to their newly acquired sea superiority, a large fresh convoy of French and Italian troops, and they secured a large swathe of territory further inland from the Embarcadère des Braves. So as we can see, they really did take a lot of terrain here. The White Flotilla, in the meantime, did lose a lot of ground, especially here, and they barely managed to secure a little bit more of their positions here and there, continuing their colonization efforts where it was safe, since they cannot hold the line against their Prussian enemies. This was the first true defeat suffered by the White Flotilla since the beginning of the campaign, and no doubt that Admiral Stoliarenkova will prepare a strong retribution strike against the Imperium in order to reclaim control of the seas in the Eastern Archipelago Alpha. Now that we've seen this, let's go to the debriefing.
So that is the end of the game for today. Quite an intense battle. We finished with one hull point on the Deathbringer. We finished with one victory point for the Imperium-Alliance. So that was very tough. Unfortunately, our dear Imperium player had to run away because he was late for something else. And we record from outside because we finished the game very late as well, so they are closed already. What did we think about the lists, the game? What do you think first? Either of you guys?
Yeah,
Qu'est-ce que vous en pensez?
Very original lists from our side.
Yeah.
It was, almost entirely submerged.
Yeah.
Really fun to play, actually. A lot of deep striking units as
Oui.
well. So yeah, really original. Maybe not super efficient, if I may say.
Yeah, but it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, so the main point was being fun. So.
Oui. We had some feedback from our Imperium player saying that he loves the Tempelhof. He's going to buy a second one because it's extremely efficient. Totems are also very, very efficient. Also nicely surprised of the Elixir. He did a lot of stuff this game, and yeah, that was his feedback. From my side, like I must say, like first of all, it's always nice to have themed list. It was a nice scenario. I'm quite happy that the Admiral barely survived at the end of the third turn.
Yeah, it was really cinematic.
Yeah. To the last point, to the last card that we had to save to cancel at the right moment, the right critical. Like unfortunately, we were really rushing to, so we couldn't film everything. But everybody was screaming left and right at every dice roll. It was very intense. What happened also, I'm very surprised of the Akulas. When I was reviewing them, I was like, yeah, you don't really want to deep strike them because if you do that, they first of all, they don't shoot on the first turn, second turn they're crippled. So we're like, yeah, not so great. And actually, I realized that the big benefits for those is that they do come from unexpected arrival, and they can come really further back, like really behind the enemy fleet. And it's not like a robot where you don't, sometimes if they are shooty, you don't want to make them appear next to the enemy. The Akulas, you can really put them like really far away from the enemy in their backyard, and then they're just gonna sit from turn 2, 3, 4, 5 in the back of the enemy, and then your enemy doesn't know if he needs to turn around or keep facing your surface ships. If you do bring surface ships, we choose shoot if you play Russians competitively. So yeah, very happily surprised of the Akula. The robots are still very efficient but very fragile. The Marina is great. The Kostroma, I still believe they're still better in your backyard and not as deep striking units.
Yeah,
or if you or if you deep strike them, make them attack like something weak, like an aircraft carrier or something, not the Elector. Extremely happily surprised of the Deathbringer. It was tough. It did a lot of damage. That was crazy. I think I wouldn't want to play a Deathbringer even in non-Commonwealth lists, since he can be Black Wolf, so he can be a mercenary. The Deathbringer is so good for its point cost, and that's it.
I was really impressed by the mortality of the Utlands.
Ouais. They one-shot Akula straight at some point, two chasseurs.
Yeah.
So yeah, we said the chasseurs are very fragile. They are, but like we talked about strategic reserves.
40...
Yeah, something like 45 hits on something that was submerged, so obscured. So like very very great firepower from the chasseur and from Utlances in general.
It's the only advantage of the Alliance and the French.
Yeah,
actually.
So when you do manage to get it point blank, they delete anything, as we've seen. The Malines were very efficient, the aircraft of the French, because we've seen the scrambling was very helpful. It allowed them to sink 2 Mass 2s submarines at some point because of this scrambling, so very useful as well. And yeah, I think the French without the little submarines, the Epaulards, are much better, and without the Oriflamme, unfortunately. But yeah, when you can, as we did in this game, put your terrain as you want at the beginning of the game, it allows the French to really make them a little plan of how they're going to hide, etc. And it's much easier to play, and it's, I think, more fun for both players when you can put your own terrain as a kind of like turn 0.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that's it for today. If you liked, remember to put a like, a thumbs up. Tell us in the comments if you like, what you would like us to play next, if you have ideas of scenarios, of lists, etc. If you're not subscribing yet, please do subscribe so you don't miss the next battle reports. We try to release one battle report every week until the early 2023. So there's going to be quite a lot being released. And until next time, remember to keep spreading the love around you. Bye bye.